Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the GrowVC Everyone Funding Startups podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Williams. And today we're talking about a topic critical to any successful online campaign, including crowdfunding, and that is how to create, engage, and leverage a community of users or supporters. And to do that today, we're joined by Dave Olson, Vice President of Community at HootSuite. Dave, thanks for joining us today.
Hey, it's my pleasure, Ryan. It's great to be here.
Well, Dave, I think you're the perfect guest to talk about this subject for two reasons. One being what you do, that being your title as Vice President of Community at HootSuite, and two, who you do that for, and HootSuite being the leading dashboard management platform to manage and analyze your social networks. So maybe we can begin by you talking to our listeners a little bit about what HootSuite is and where it came from and what it's currently doing.
Sure. Well, you're right that I have kind of a unique role. It gets a little meta sometimes in that I use HootSuite to promote HootSuite to other people who really need a tool like HootSuite. So it's been a real interesting journey. I've been here right from the get-go as we created this tool that was really started off to solve the problem of if you're managing multiple Twitter accounts, whether for yourself, for your projects, or for clients, how do you manage all these different accounts without logging in and out and in and out and in and out? So anyone who's used Twitter for more than a few years knows that you used to have to log out, log back in, and log back, and you're trying to capture all these mentions and so on. So the first thing that HootSuite did was bring all those accounts and allowed you to manage multiple accounts from one place. From there, we've grown and added a whole plethora of different tools to this web dashboard, including the ways to have different team members contribute to your accounts. So you can have everyone from interns to CEOs with varying levels of permissions, so messages don't go out that are going to embarrass you. We've added in a whole analytics suite that allows people to measure the different success on their different platforms, as well as all these basic things like the ability to schedule posts, which is incredibly valuable for broadcasting to international audiences, all sorts of ways to set up searches to monitor your brand name, and as well as competitors' names, misspellings of HootSuite. You can imagine how many misspellings are out there of HootSuite. And we've also now added an app directory, which is a big step for us because it allows now third-party developers to build apps into our tool to sort of expose their tool to our over 4 million users now. So it's been a wild ride, but it's what we've really created is one tool to rule them all, so to speak. For me as a practitioner, social media practitioner here within the company, I want to do as many things as possible on my day-to-day task list from within HootSuite. So now everything from managing Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, G+, YouTube, Flickr, Tumblr, yabba dabba do, I'm able to do from one web-based tool. And also, as I ride the bus into work every day, I can also do all of that on my iPhone as well. So it really puts everything in one place in a pretty simple-to-use tool.
And Dave, I know you have the title of Vice President of Community. What does this title mean to you? How did you come about fulfilling this role? I'm sure you've worn many hats at HootSuite over the years. And what does it mean? That's typically the case in all startups. And so what does it mean to you, and how does that play out on the ground while at HootSuite?
Well, for me, talking about community, it's all these people out there who show affection and reaction or passion of some kind to your brand. And when you start to say that we're going to build a community, it means that everyone who raises their hand, basically anywhere in the world, with any reason says, I want to be part of your culture, I want to contribute to your culture, I want to learn more about who you people are. Those are the people that we have to reach out to and invite into our culture and find ways for them to contribute to our culture. So with community, we touch on and coordinate with marketing, with sales and partners and business development and support and HR. And we sort of hang out in the middle of all these different organizations and help those departments become more social to fulfill their own goals within the company. So in some ways, we're a little bit of a social help desk, but at the same time, we're out there being the pioneers of the company, and we're the first ones that sort of move into a new country. We're the first ones that kind of gather the intelligence, find friendlies on the ground, and start to give activities and meaning to our brand by organizing different programs, whether it be hoot-ups or translation projects or building a cadre of ambassadors all around the world. So it's sort of building these little projects and executing on these projects and by doing so, helping out all the other departments in the bigger goals of the company. But, I was in the early days of Hootsuite, it was pretty much me, our CEO, and some developers. And so I have a lot of domain knowledge about each of the departments. I sort of served as an incubator for a lot of them. So as we've grown now from a small handful of people to almost 200 people here at the office, I'm able to sort of give that background, why these things were put into place, and how we can make them better by using our own social media tools. So I'm really, part of what I'm doing is really trying to make sure Hootsuite remains a social business, and that we as a company keep pushing the envelope of what our tool can do. And at the same time, being out there around the world and in our own backyard, finding grassroots events that we can get people involved in. We really find things that are user-centric rather than taking a top-down approach. We take kind of a bottoms-up approach of like, let's get together and talk about what makes your market unique. What do you want next from Hootsuite? And we gather all that stuff then and share it all around the company and report back to our communities about that success. But, we're a big enough company now that we're not just one community. There's obviously a whole bunch of different segments. As we have, an enterprise sales department, and with all these enterprise customers, we're signing the biggest brands and the biggest governments in the world to our enterprise tool. And those people obviously have very different needs and things that they need to talk about as a community. The social media managers from within these brands then do regular users spread around the world who want to share, cute owls and how this has helped their life, where the community managers, enterprise brands need peers to share conundrums and tips and tactics with. So those are two examples of the way we'll work around the company and figure out how we can help the free users, how we can help the enterprise users, how we can help the international users, how we can help mobile users, and so on, to feel more attached and feel more passion for our brand.
I want to hone in on one word you said maybe 3 or 4 times, and that is culture. You talked about how that's how you attract these supporters kind of in the first place. You attract them to the culture. And then it sounds like you reinforce that culture with kind of events on the ground and small projects as you describe them. For our entrepreneurs at home that are trying to develop their own communities, can you describe that a little bit and touch on how it is that entrepreneurs create that culture, or maybe more importantly, convey that culture in a way that will begin to coalesce a community around it?
Yeah, for sure. For me, the culture is really, really important. And your brand is your culture, and your culture is your brand. Your brand isn't your logo. Your brand's what people say about you and how people react to you. And so all these things that we do, it starts with our, having a cute owl mascot, the vocabulary we use to talk about our company, the way we position ourselves, the events that we participate in, the way we present ourselves at those events. All of these little things are little building bricks that add meaning to our brand and really build out our culture. Now, when you start to think about this a little bit more and how entrepreneurs can start that, I always think of so many startups, and I've been bouncing around startups since the mid-'90s and gone through this process many a times. And a lot of times, startups begin with business dude meets tech dude, and then they start writing down a brilliant back-of-the-napkin idea. They work hard for 3 months on kitchen tables, and they finally get ready to release this product. But they realize that you don't just push a button and the world starts to know about it. Right from day one, when you decide we're going to go down this journey, we're going to start there, find that storyteller. And that storyteller is going to kind of fill the role of what's, will later be called community and marketing and all these other departments within your company. But you need that person who can start to add meaning to your brand by telling the journey that you're on. And that starts with, Bob and Dave have got a brilliant idea, and I've joined up with them to help spread the word about how we're going to make this awesome widget. And you got to start to share. And the days of having a stealth startup, of having secrets and those kind of things, those are counterproductive now. So right from the get-go, you need to build that community culture by choosing your vocabulary, setting how you talk about your users. What do you call these people? How do you address them? What's the different tone and voice? And all these little things, they seem like just, oh, geez, that's a lot of legwork on it, but it's critically important. And then as your company grows and it gets time to release product, all of a sudden there's people paying attention. You've developed this interest about what you're doing already, and you've done that not because we're going to, not with a message that says we're going to build something to sell to you. It's we're going on this journey and we want you to come along. And that's a very, very important differentiation to make in order to build these communities. And as part of building that culture, these people that raise their hand and express interest, you have to invest the time that they've spent learning about you back into them. And I think this is